Hey, this is Dan from Word of the Horde. I'll be talking to Kriss in this extract. This is an extract from our podcast, That Famous Podcast. We had just finished talking about Netflix series Dark. And so we ended up just talking about space and time travel and all sorts of crazy stuff. So yeah, enjoy the discussion about space and time and all the weird stuff that comes out of our brains.
We lead into it now. It's like, yeah, strangely, I'd sent you that video about the infinite drive shift, the infinite accelerating shift thing, and you said, "Oh, I've seen it."
Oh, the machine at the end of time thing. Oh no,
The ship that moves, that like accelerates exponentially, just keeps accelerating towards the speed of light.
Oh, I don't know if I did watch this. Maybe that's when I thought it was something else then.
One, can we reach the
Oh, the Edge of the Universe one.
edge of the universe? Yeah, because you'd said that I've seen that one.
Oh, I think maybe I maybe started watching that. Anyway, go on. Keep
Anyway.
talking. I think I know which one you mean. Yeah.
It's not to do with this time principle. It's sort
Yeah,
of.
yeah,
I'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah,
Actually,
yeah.
I'll talk about that in a minute. Let's talk about time travel first,
Okay.
right? So this is what I'd watched a thing about time travel principles a while back, and kind of this is called the Novikov Self-Consistency principle, right?
hmm
And it deals with the grandfather paradox, which is basically what this is.
If you go back, kill your grandfather, you don't exist, but then you can't go back in time. That one. Yeah.
That's the one. Like, it creates a paradox.
Yeah.
So this Novikov suggested that you can do that. If you can go back in time, this is why you can't do this, because if you can go, let's say you can go back in time, then you try and kill your grandfather, but you can't because it's not what happened. It'll just end up becoming the time that your grandfather tells you about, where some weirdo tried to kill him.
Yeah, it can't happen because it never happened the first time around. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's the self-consistency principle, and that something will happen to stop you creating a paradox, basically. So that's where it was like with Noah, the gun just didn't work, basically, because it would have created a paradox if he got killed there.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. It's like, but that's in the future. That's not back in time. And that's old. That's the thing. Because I can understand if you went back and tried to kill young Jonas.
But Adam still had stuff to do that would trigger the ending, which created Noah, right?
Well,
so if Noah had killed him then, Noah would have ceased to exist, because Adam wouldn't have then gone on to create the ending, which would have sent everyone into their place.
But Noah already existed by that point, because it was Stranger Jonas first becoming Adam that then sent the Sylvia, or whatever the fucking name was, Scarface girl, back in time to things. So he'd already created Noah by that point.
Yeah, but they're all connected though, aren't they? It's all connected. So
I
since
don't know.
Adam, wait, since Adam doesn't do the thing. I mean, we're talking about paradox anyway, so there isn't really an answer.
Totally. Yeah, go on.
Adam doesn't do all the putting everything in their place until the end of his life, really, until the end of the story, does he? And so this would have just happened before that, and so Noah couldn't do anything. He couldn't pull the trigger because Adam wouldn't have gone on to do all the rest of the stuff that would have set things in place that would create Noah. That's the whole thing, I think, that argument. But, anyway, go back and watch it again.
Maybe. Go on.
Right. But the principle is that, like, something will happen that will stop you from creating a paradox.
Yeah.
And that's why he couldn't pull the trigger. That's why the gun just literally didn't work, like, until he handed it to Agnes, and then Agnes could kill him.
Yeah.
Like, even if Agnes would have pointed the gun at Adam, it wouldn't have worked again, because it would have again been a paradox. And so, right.
Yeah, like him shooting him when Noah saves him and stuff. Yeah.
So this principle dictates that, like, it's because it didn't happen. So even if you go back with all the intentions of killing your grandfather, it didn't happen. And then also links with Hawkins also come up with a principle, Stephen Hawkins, and this is it's called the Chronology Protection Conjecture, right?
Okay, fucking awesome name.
I mean, that is brilliant. Yeah, this is what happens when clever people start talking
cool names.
Start talking about time travel. Yeah, but like, so he suggested, well, that means that, I mean, this is kind of creepy. It means that we'll never invent time travel because the laws of physics will always organize themselves so that we can never create a paradox. So that's why we will never be able to invent time travel, because it is potentially a thing physics, the laws of the universe has dictated, can't be broken.
Surely that would be just within a single dimension universe, though, like a single, like non-multi-dimensional universe, because otherwise it would create like alternate reality versions. You could do that with time travel, where you create like that same version still continues, but you create a branch.
That's the alternate theory, is that like you
The
can,
alternate theory, yeah, right, yeah.
this is
So
just,
if there was only one reality, then this is the rules.
I'm talking about like this is like kind of inside the grandfather paradox theory.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas that's it. I mean, the grandfather paradox doesn't exist in the theory where it's an alternate timelines, because then you could go back, just kill your grandfather. The second you appeared in the past, you've just created a new
You
timeline.
created a separated,
Yeah, so it doesn't matter. Like, but inside this grandfather thing, it says this like and then so he said, we'd never be able to create a time machine because the rules of physics or the rules of the universe would say that any time ability to travel through time would create a paradox.
Mm-hmm.
So the rules would say that we would never be able to create it.
Yeah, because the paradox can't be created.
Yeah, because so suggesting it's almost like the speed of light is the top speed of the universe, right? So suggesting that time, it doesn't have a top speed per se, it has a constant speed and a direction, and that, like the speed of light, can't be broken.
Mm-hmm.
So like we can never ever, no object can ever physically go the speed of light.
Yeah, without being mass.
Yeah, no object will be able to actually stop going the constant speed of time, which is forward and whatever speed it is.
Yeah.
What was it? It was also that's it. It's connected to the observer principle.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the one where particles, atoms either exist as a particle or a wave form, right?
Right.
It's like string theory, basically.
Is this the one where if you shine a beam of light at a hole, it will come out of both aspects of the hole unless being observed?
Yes, that's the one.
That's the basic way of putting it. But yeah, I do know which one you mean. Yes. Yeah,
I think it's called non-locality and the observer, the experiment.
Yeah.
And fire a beam of particles at a slit in the wall, and it'll come out as a wave function on the back. And then if you actually put a camera to observe the particles going through the slit, then the actual pattern on the back wall changes to what it would be if it was a particle going through. So
that's fucking
mental.
Just that in itself is mental. Yeah, I know exactly the one, because I remember watching it going, wait, let me just watch that again.
Yeah.
What the fuck are you talking about? It's a theoretic idea.
One of the most mind-bending principles of the universe that they can't explain, that makes almost makes the universe a mockery of the rules.
Yeah. It's because we live in a simulation. Yeah.
So that's what this time travel thing is almost connected with. It's like saying, it's like Schrodinger's cat, the thing in the box, like they were talking about at the beginning, the dark.
Yeah, they mentioned that. I like the fact they put that in there, because it's the most simple aspect of like alternate reality based things like that I ever heard. It was like the first thing I ever heard, and I've always found it quite.
So that's why I think I kind of got it, what this whole thing was, because of the principle, the self-consistency principle, because it goes. Because if you go back in time, then like the cat in the box, like the particle or the wave form, if you go back in time, it forces the universe to decide if it's a particle or a wave, whatever happens in that instance, right?
Yeah.
And so whatever decision it makes, it will choose the decision that means that it won't create a paradox, because it's got a choice.
It has the correct outcome. Yeah.
That's what I mean. It's got a choice. It can either be a wave or a particle. I mean, that's any atom in the entire universe can either be that or that. It seems like it's got a 50-50 choice on everything.
Yeah.
Universe, doesn't it? In a weird way. So so if you go back and try to pull that trigger on your grandfather, then the universe decides whatever it.
Well, that's why he can't kill the kid. That's why he can't kill the kid.
Yeah, that's it. So it decides whatever it needs to do. Its decision will be whatever doesn't break causality, because that will cause the entire universe to fall apart. Then.
I tell you one thing maybe it did fully explain, but why did them kids have burns on their face, and why were they taken in the first place? Because each of them kids have no aspect to the story. Like, they didn't have any relevance. They didn't come like versions of themselves.
Right. Well, I think what that was is they were just they were kids that were already taken in the story already. So it's just they were already going through what was already done for a start, but also they were part of creating one of the time machines, wasn't it? The chair, basically. So they were
part of the creation of the time machine, and so they were just subjects, right? And they were just used as subjects, right? Okay.
Because
it was just, I got to the end and I'm like, so what was the point of like Them like well, it was Mags and the other kids taken. What was the point of them being taken at all? Because like they were unnecessary. But yeah, that's it, because they were used to create the original time machine.
Also,
or the
but also they were already gone missing in the timeline already, you know. So it's like kind of it's already what happened. So you may as well use them because that's what they were
and there are
used
other
for.
characters that don't exist at the end story anyway. They don't exist in the Prime universe anyway because their parents don't exist.
True.
I guess.
Yeah.
Like Mags especially, because his dad and his brother doesn't
Yeah.
exist, so he doesn't exist. So like I'm guessing the other ones, because that was another thing I found kind of strange, is the fact that she has this boyfriend that isn't in it in the normal universe, and I'm like, why is that then? Like, who was his dad, and why did that end up differently to the? It didn't really
He was
explain
the
it, but
brother. Yeah, it's weird. Yeah, that
because he didn't exist in the other universe, I'm like, so why does he exist in this universe? Like, what? It didn't really explain it, but it was just a character to put in. It was kind of a throwaway character anyway. It's kind of like he was there to groan a little bit, but then he was like, "Nah, leave him out."
we don't know if he exists or not in the original universe. So we just never saw him, did we?
Yeah, well, that's true. Yeah, yeah, but they don't mention any brother. Oh, do they? She does maybe mention she has another kid. I don't know.
I don't see that couple very often. They were only in it a couple of times, weren't they?
Well, they were in it in the first season when they were like, "Where's our son? Where's Eric?"
Yeah.
Or whatever his name was. But yeah, and you don't really know if they have any other kids. Yeah, they may well do, and then that might explain it possibly. Maybe, I don't know.
Anyway, whatever. Right. Anyway, also, what else I heard or discovered was like, not that I'm discovering things, but yeah. Anyway, the scientists have been trying to discover solutions to like the grandfather paradox. Anyway,
Yeah.
and this group of scientists decided to create a sort of thought experiment which covered that sort of principle. Right.
Okay.
So I can't remember what it's called now, but they come up with this idea, and they said, so how do we remove, we want to create a thought experiment that dictates the grandfather paradox. So, but the problem with that is there's people going back in time, there's free will involved. You could just decide to do anything to your grandfather. You know what I mean? It's like there's free will involved. So how do you remove that from a scientific thought thing? So they said, all right, what's the best principle for it? And they come up with this idea, and they go, what you do is you have like Portal, the game Portal. You just fire a portal gun at a wall, and then so imagine you've got a wall opposite you, ahead of you. You fire a portal gun there, and then you fire your exit portal to the wall to your right, basically. So you roll a ball into the first portal, like straight into the portal, and it comes out the other portal and crosses its own path, right?
Right. Yeah, yeah.
So now you make that exit portal appear back in time, So a couple of seconds before.
Yeah, so it hits itself and doesn't go through.
So you roll the ball through, and it's on the way in. It encounters its future version of itself coming out the exit portal, and it hits it and deflects it away from going.
And then it never goes through the first portal, and so the second. Yeah.
Right, so that's a scientific kind of physics version of the grandfather paradox. Basically, removes free will from the choice.
Right. Okay.
Okay. And so then they go, so is there a solution to this? And then they go, actually, yeah. He goes, and one of these scientists proposed that, like, well, what happens if ball's rolling in and it encounters a future version of itself coming out of the portal to the right, except that ball comes out at not straight, it comes out on a skew-if angle and just grazes it, the ball going in, and so it doesn't deflect it from going into the portal, it just grazes its angle, so it goes into the portal.
Small adjustment.
It goes into the portal on a strange angle, being the angle that ball had come out of originally. And so, and then it goes, so that actually creates a loophole in the grandfather paradox, because it means you can still go back in time, create a scenario where you alter the condition in which you go back in time by going back, because that comes out and obviously means you go back in time in a certain way because whatever. And so that's almost, I know it's a sort of hyperdimensional way to solve it, but it's that suggesting there's technically an infinite ways in which you could avoid a paradox. The universe could avoid a paradox by sending you in any direction through that portal, and then you would be deflected in any way, and there's only one.
Come out of a different angle.
Exactly, and there's only one through the center which would cause a paradox. So it's saying the universe would actually be able to choose any of those infinite solutions to stopping you from creating a paradox. If you were then to transplant that thought experiment into the actual you going back in time and trying to shoot your grandfather, then the infinite possibilities are you could get hit by a car before you get there. You could, get struck by lightning. The gun could turn into cheese in your hand. Or, it's like anything.
Literally anything can happen.
Literally, the universe can do anything to solve this problem.
Mm-hmm.
Anything but avoid the one thing that causes the paradox. And because space and time is all atoms just flying around, it's like it really makes you think, the universe could solve this problem easy.
Yeah, it's just a soup.
Yeah, just to stop a paradox happening.
That's quite interesting.
Yeah, so I thought it's a really fascinating idea. I thought all these sort of time experiments.
But that's also kind of a mirror of that Dark as well, because they're making tiny adjustments rather than going back and trying to kill somebody.
Exactly.
They're making slight adjustments to the trajectory of the people in the past to try and change the future. At least that's the kind of idea of it, anyway, of what they're doing to try and change and to break the loop. Or
kind of what that's like. It's like he's going. We're avoiding the center of the portal and going through the side a little bit, like to deflect. Kind of just gradually. If we try to stop the portal, if we try to go through the middle, then it creates a paradox, and we can't do it. We can't stop it.
Yeah.
It'll stop
Interesting.
us. Yeah.
Interesting.
I just thought it was quite an interesting idea. That. I like the idea that Hawkins had got involved and then come up with that idea: chronology, protection, conjecture.
Thing is, all of this is only to the best of our knowledge with the way the universe works, though. For all we know, there might be multiple aspects of time. So it might be the Mandala aspect that does change history, or change time, or Mandela
effect.
But it might be the fact that some people remember it because it didn't affect them. However, that ball went in and came out. It's like it changed some things and some people didn't. That's interesting.
Well, here's the other thing as well. Like, that other video I'd sent that maybe you didn't watch about the infinite accelerating drive.
Yeah, I'm not sure I did watch that.
Okay. Well, anyway, it basically just this guy was just talking about. He said, let's just imagine we can create this drive, because someone's actually come up with this drive actually in theory, but it's like we don't have the energy capacity to build it yet or something. But in theory, we could do this. And what it does is it's a drive that doubles its speed exponentially every single
rotation sort of thing.
Yeah, whatever it is, I can't explain
it. Or whatever.
It basically speeds up and it just keeps accelerating. And so he goes, so imagine if we had a ship and we had all the energy requirements to do this, and we had all the shielding so we could effectively do it, fly through space without just fucking getting destroyed by a tiny pebble or something.
Yeah, exactly. A bit of dust that just smashes through the ship.
So anyway, it goes like you could travel on the ship. If you got on the ship, you would start traveling away from Earth, and they had all these computations, all these things, and I can't remember exactly all the numbers and everything, but it's something like by the time you reached the other solar system, if you were to head towards Alpha Centauri, for example, which is the closest star to us, you'd get there in like something like 7 years, because as you've been approaching it, you've been approaching the speed of light, essentially. You never get to the speed of light. You'll never ever get to it, but you're getting increasingly closer every kind of second that you pass. And so time starts slowing down for you on the ship. And so 7 years will pass, and something like 100 years would have gone by on Earth. And they start then basically in this video, I mean, like I said, it's a good video to watch, but they take this principle out and they go, so what happens if we go out of our star cluster, local cluster, and try and go across the galaxy? What happens if we leave our galaxy and try and get to like Andromeda?
Or even further,
the nearest galaxy. And then they start how much time would have passed on the ship compared to how much time would have passed on Earth. Well, they worked out right. They did the maths for it, and they were like, right, so if we were to go out of our galaxy and head across towards Andromeda and kept going, got out of our local cluster of galaxies to try and the Laniakea cluster and try and get to like another part of the universe, you'd actually be able to do it in like, you'd need life extending or technology or cryotechnology or something, but it would actually only be like a few hundred years for like the people on the ship. Literally trillions and trillions of years will have passed. And what would happen is when they would stop, they'd obviously have to stop to see space basically because light wouldn't
Yeah,
they
because
wouldn't
you'd be
see
moving
light
through.
anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, what they
But you're
would
moving at
actually
the same speed of it. It'd be like frozen, wouldn't it?
no, it wouldn't be frozen, mate. You wouldn't see anything. It'd be black because none of
That's what I mean. Like light would be virtually frozen on the spot, so you wouldn't see anything. You wouldn't see
yeah. Well, that's it.
light.
Yeah. That's it because it's light is moving slower outside of you.
Yeah.
Kind of, it's weird. It's all temporal sort of shit.
Yeah.
Uh, what was it? Yes. So they were saying what you'd see is as you would look ahead, say in the view screen or through the window at the front of the ship, everywhere, out of every window, it'd be black except the front. And in the front, you'd start seeing like a red sort of haze up ahead, kind of like off in the distance of space. And it would just begin to grow and grow. And eventually, further closer to the speed of light you'd get, it would actually be like a giant explosion just happening ahead of you. And what you'd be seeing
Continuously.
yeah, continuously. And what you're actually seeing is the background radiation of the universe, which is like shifted into redshift or whatever the fuck it's called. So like
Yeah,
because
into
you're
light. Yeah.
because you're approaching light speed, you could start to see it or something like that. There's a really technical explanation which I just
Yeah.
completely trampled all over. But,
Well, it's the what's it called? Doppler effect, isn't it? You'd see red
yeah,
light as red because you're coming towards it.
yeah. So then what would happen though is because you've been traveling for trillions of years, trying to get to other galaxy, for example. What's happened in the rest of the universe? It's only been 300, 400 years or something for you, or 100 years, whatever. The rest of the universe has been trillions of years, obviously, and so
It's
the
been
rest.
moving. Yeah.
Well, yeah, the rest of the universe has been
So
speeding
when
up.
you get there, it's not there, is it?
Exactly. So, yeah, and so literally, what will happen is the universe is sped up to the point where it's accelerated so fast over the trillions of years that it's moving away from you faster than you're traveling anyway, and because they reckon the universe pretty much moves at light speed anyway.
Yeah.
And so, or virtually the speed of light. And so, what would happen is by the time the trillions of years have passed, you'd drop out of space, and everything in the universe would be beyond the horizon for you. It would literally be outside the galactic horizon. So
13.7 billion years.
a trillion billion.
Yeah.
Yeah, but by then it would be a
plus,
trillion
yeah.
years. But everything would be that far away anyway, and so you still wouldn't be able to see it. So you'd literally drop out of space, and you'd just be in a void because everything would be beyond the horizon, and it would be disconnected from causality from you. And so technically, it won't exist. It's like the cat in the box. Everything in the universe. So then, technically, you are literally the only thing in the universe. Whoever's on this ship, this starship, it's the only thing in the universe. You could. It's like if we had this ship, we could achieve that. We could send people on that mission. If we had the technology to do that ship,
it'd be an awful mission.
that's what I mean. But imagine
go
this.
to the end of the universe. Yeah.
Yeah, go to the end of time. Basically, like
yeah,
yeah,
that sounds
bye.
awful. Yeah.
Just don't write back. There's no point.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. Exactly. Don't even record it. There's no point. No one's read it. Yeah. Exactly.
No one's gonna see it. Yeah. But then I was thinking, I had a little idea, and I thought, like, what would happen if you send someone out ship with the whole goal is to get to the end of time, basically. So so at some point they know the 400, 500 years, they drop out into normal space, they slow down, and the universe will have ended. Essentially, they'll just be in the void, and their whole mission is they have like a Genesis device on the ship, and it's not like a terraforming for planets; it's a terraformer for like universes, and they actually create a Big Bang right there, just create a new universe, and that's how the universe began originally.
While the other universe disappears into the darkness. So it's almost like if it had already happened, our universe would stand like a circle in the middle, and then there'd be darkness, and then there'd be the other universe as like a ring around it that's eventually moving off into. That's quite interesting. Like
interesting
that in the water, like a wave in the water.
Like a ripple. Cool. Yeah, and it would just keep happening.
Yeah. Keep happening, like just universe, and then like
Interesting that I thought, but I thought that's quite a cool little story.
I do like that. Yeah.
Honestly, watch that video anyway because it's
Yeah,
fascinating.
and I thought I'd watched that one when you sent me the picture. I'd watched it. I looked at it, but it might have been one that I started watching, and then it was like, no, this is a bit much for 2 a.m. or whatever. So I must have stopped watching it. But the picture
is very mathy.
Yeah, I think it was probably one of them ones. But because I understand the concept, I recognise the concept of it, but I don't remember watching it recently, and I remember seeing the thumbnail for that that video.
Don't know
recently,
why
so.
it's so attractive to me, that idea of just going into the void of space and just nothingness. The idea
that isn't attractive to me. Space in itself is terrifying enough without the end of the world. Like when I watched something about
I'm not
like
saying
the
I want to do it.
universe. No, no. Yeah, but if you were given the opportunity to do it, would you? You know, I mean, like
Probably
it's a
would.
once in a you know a humanity's lifetime type of deal, isn't it?
I probably
It's
would,
only ever going
because
to
I'd
happen
be like,
once.
there's going to be no other being in the universe that's going to see this thing at the
Yeah, that's
end
true.
like this.
That's
So
true. Yeah,
it's worth doing it just to be the one that does.
yeah. I imagine it'd be quite boring.
Might be quite,
You get
no,
there,
but
and
it
it's
might be
like
quite,
stuck.
might be quite noteworthy when you find, if there is some kind of afterlife when you die. Everyone's like, "Whoa, you're the one that fucking lasted the longest. This is
Yeah,
insane. You're a
you
human."
turned up well after the party had finished. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's like
yeah.
everyone's
It's
bored of
interesting.
heaven by then. Like, we've been here
Or you
trillions of
might
years.
see like the workings of the universe. You know what I mean? Like at that point in
Yeah,
time when you know
that's it.
when matter breaks down and gravity fails and
That's what I was going to say.
like light is stretched out into like waves of fucking like weird shit, and all the black hole, all that's left is black holes. You know what I mean? Like, and even they're broken down. It's like radiation shit. But yeah, it's just like to be at that point in time, it's like.
But
Hmm.
what would it mean, like, if you're disconnected from, or the rest of the universe, all matter in the universe is disconnected from causality from you, then surely you'd have more effect on the matter that's around you, which
Yeah,
would be the shit.
yeah.
All of a sudden, would your thoughts have more effect on it? Would your consciousness be more present? Something, there'd be a change in you as a being, because you. Sorry, I'm taking a while to make this point, but you as a
That's right.
person, your collection of atoms now consist of a massively greater percentage of all the atoms in the
Yeah,
universe.
you're all that's left, sort of thing. Yeah, yeah, actually.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
you would
that's
have,
interesting.
yeah, it's like you're now fucking 35% of the universe or something, like you.
Yeah, yeah. Of all
Or
that's left of the universe. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
you
That's
and
a
the
good point.
ship.
Yeah,
Like,
you and the
yeah.
ship. Yeah,
Yeah, so it's like, would all of a sudden you'd be able to do things that and have control over the universe and be almost like the new god. So you could just go, "Oh, I'm just going to throw this piece of this pea or there's something tiny, a marble that I've got on the ship. I'm just
yeah.
going to throw out into space and create it as the new universe, because I've got that power now, because I can control matter."
Either that, or you get there and you just realize there's some advanced, like insignificantly advanced, like beyond comprehension advanced
Robot
beings that now
species.
or it could just be, yeah, you just get there and the whole space is just like the inside of a ball cube, all of space, like just, and it's all just like a mind. It's one mind the size of the universe.
Just
Or
get
maybe
there
you
and
see
you
it
just,
from outside. Maybe you actually see it from a
yeah.
distance. You know what I mean? Like maybe if you travel to the right point. It's weird that you can like that speed can create time. Like that, the idea that if you went towards something fast enough, you would overshoot it by 1 billion years or more is a bit weird. That idea is kind of strange because it means like if you go there slower, you could get there, but by going there faster, you'll never get there. That kind of melts my brain a little bit. You know what I mean?
That is melting. It is brain melting, because yeah, it's like I mean, technically, we'll never get to other galaxies,
No,
because
of course.
they're always
Well,
traveling away
without an
from.
Einstein-Rosen bridge, without an
Yeah,
actual wormhole.
that's it. That's the
Actually.
only thing that can get us
Yeah.
to the places, because we'd never get there in normal space by light speed, unless we went faster than light speed, which can't happen as yet. Theorized, it
See,
can't happen.
I've seen loads of stuff recently about black holes, and I feel like recently there's been a lot more mention of white holes and how black holes could be like the entrance to a wormhole that then comes out of a white hole sort of thing, like the exit of a thing. And I've watched a lot about black holes, but recently it feels like I've seen 2 or 3 things that mention white holes, and they mention like it could actually, like it's more of a held potential theory that actually black holes might just be the entrance to something.
Well, yeah, I mean, it is a theory, or I always think it'd be like, would it be, by the end of the universe, everything's consumed by black holes, even all the black holes will be consumed by some massive black hole eventually, and then which will consume itself. So would it
Yeah,
all pop out the other side on a white hole, and that's the equivalent of the Big Bang in whatever universe that
yeah,
is,
potentially,
and
yeah.
it restarts.
The
It's
end of
like
it.
the loop. It's like a loop in itself, the entire
Yeah,
universe,
yeah.
just a causality loop.
Oh, I don't need to think about that.
It's fucked up,
Yeah,
isn't it? Yeah.
I
Thinking
don't
about
need that.
the
It's hard enough
universe.
when it's like one town in Germany, let alone fucking the entire universe.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, you're right. But I do find that interesting. I really hope that humanity do mind to find ways to other galaxies, because I think, if we can find, I don't think we'll find life, not like any significant advanced life in our solar system, but if we could jump outside our solar system, well, definitely not. Well, within our reach, let's say, for the next 1,000 years, possibly within our galaxy, but even then,
I think there's enough probability that there'd be other life in our galaxy, whether it's complicated, complex life, and whether it's intelligent.
Yeah. I mean intelligent life. I mean like being able to communicate, or being able to, like equal life, or it's called something like a type 1 civilization, or whatever the fuck it's called.
Crash. Oh fuck.
Yeah, there's a fucked up name for it. Weirdly enough, I read that today, something about like why we haven't seen a something. What's it called? Something civilization. Yeah.
I keep saying Kalashnikov, but that's a gun. Hang on.
Yes, that's the AK-47.
What's on the tip of my tongue? I watched a thing. Kreischer.
I know, but I remember thinking it sounded like Kreischer. I remember thinking about a drunk fucking moron, yeah, like just comedian guy, civilization.
Jesus
I remember thinking it sounded like Kreischer.
Can't I find this fucking information?
Just put K civilization, and then it'll see if it types it for you.
I'm not typing anything because it means I've got to lean forward. Thing is, I watched a video on this the other day actually, and so I'm just going.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like I watched something about it recently, because it was like 10 reasons why we may not have found one, or 10 something civilizations we may not want to find, and it was different. Like it was talking about different, like we might have found a civilization because we found unusual elements in a star a long way away that aren't from that star, and they couldn't have been created in that star, and they've been fed into it, and they think it. And I was just like, what the fuck? It was really interesting. Yeah, I was just like, that's terrifying. It's like, yeah, there's like palladium in this star, and there shouldn't be. I'm like, why the fuck is there? Like. But then we saw that fucking crazy one that you sent me with them fucking crazy galaxies surrounding that. Yeah, that insane thing. So. Yeah, once you see that, you're just like, anything could exist, and it could definitely be influenced by some sort of. That's what makes me think that there is alien life.
Kardashev type 1, a Kardashev type 1 civilization.
Kardashev type 1.
Sorry to interrupt you. That is, when a civilization has the ability to control the entire power of the sun on the surface of their planet.
It's surrounding area. Yeah.
No, it's the surface of their planet. They have been able to harness the power of the whole surface, basically. So, whether it's solar panels or whatever the fuck it is.
Yeah.
Basically,
however they use.
And then there's like a type 2 is you can control a star, basically, and so you'll basically have something built over a star that civilization lives on.
Or even just a ship that can feed from a star and use their energy.
It's just basically
that video of the sun from years ago. Yeah. When you see that round orb sucking something from it.
Yeah. Well, and so that's a type 2. Yeah, controlling a star, and then type 3 is obviously controlling a fucking galaxy.
God level. Like super God level.
Yeah, seeding galaxies and all that shit. And then they reckon like type 4 and 5 you'd never ever encounter because they're like 4-dimensional beings.
Yeah, or some sort of,
They're like controlling entire universes and building things outside of space and time.
Or at least as far as we understand them on our level. You know what I mean? Like, they might be something very simple. You know what I mean? It might be like a fucking butterfly and just be like, yeah, I'm just... Or like, like in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy when the mice run the universe. You know what I mean? They're just like, yep, we just chill out. We run the universe, but we're just chilled little beings. We don't have to fret because we've got it all in.
Yeah. Stamped all over a point you were making then just to kind of get that name in.
Yeah, I can't remember. Yeah, just trying to get the civilization thing. I can't remember what it was, but yeah, it made me think of that thing where they were talking about the star, and I was just like, what the fuck? And whether they think it's a like a warning or a welcome, whether it's like, come have a look at us, we've got some weird shit in our star, or whether it's like, do not come here. This is like a warning to anybody that can understand that this star shouldn't be like this.
It's like
fucking universe is insane.
Oh, mate, it's insane. Well, I was looking at one about where you look at a star, basically, you can just take photos of the star and you can tell if the light dims, that's a planet passing in front of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so they can work out how many planets they reckon could see, and there's only certain planets they could see using this technique. It's only planets that are on the ecliptic orbit to us, similar, so they pass in front of the star in relation to
Yeah.
us.
Well, that's when they look at the Doppler effect. That's when they look at the light traveling towards them, whether it's blue, because it means that there's a slight tilt in the axis of the sun, and so as it gets pulled with the planet, or as the planet moves, they can see that there's a slight variation in the light and stuff like that.
Yeah. So they reckon as well, like they found a load of exoplanets this way. And so they could obviously detect, it's all technical obviously, but they could detect what type of planet it is a lot of the time. And so they found a few Earth-like ones, and so that's given them enough information to speculate that there's potentially X amount of Earth-like planets, however much they say.
As many as there are fucking stars, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Because you think stars could have 3 or 4 on one star, like it doesn't just have to be like our system, or it could be like that fucking crazy thing that we saw, or it could be any number of things that we haven't seen.
You can have 4 stars in a star system. You can do it could be anything.
Exactly.
So you could have multiple planets in one star system like ours. But you could have multiple stars. You could have hundreds, thousands of stars, thousands of planets.
You could have. They've found a planet in the Goldilocks zone that's almost identical to Earth, but like 1.8 times bigger, and with like 3 moons. And it's like, well, if you can live on that planet, you could probably live on the moons as well. That's 4 planets the size of Earth in like part of a solar system somewhere, or part of a system somewhere.
So so there's that, and then but they reckon as well, like there potentially could be like civilizations out there that are using this technique to see us like, pass in front of our planet, of our star, and so they can.
I still think we're hidden. I think we're hidden in our solar system. We're too far on the edge, man. I think anyone that's coming to see our solar system is also in the same situation as we are. Like they have to be close. Depending on technology and ability and stuff that I can't comprehend, but it's like that idea that like we might be watched. It's like, well, yeah, but realistically, it's like anything that could see us is probably close enough to see us, which means that they're probably on the edge of this universe themselves, unless they've come from the galactic core and blah blah blah. I think that's where you'll find all the life.
I think so. Yeah, I think all the life, will be in the core. Yeah, that's the other thing as well. It's like, no one's gonna come to us from far away anyway, because they wouldn't have seen us. If they knew that we were here, then first off, we haven't been here long enough for anyone far enough away to know we were here anyway. Our species, planet, someone.
Unless they were here already.
There could have been a billion-year-old species like in the center of the core, which have been watching our star for that long and know there's a planet here, but they will have no idea there's a species living on this planet that's intelligent. And they won't know that for another, thousands of years.
Another 100,000 years at least, because until the light gets to them, and then they'll be like, oh, there's cavemen now, like or whatever, or like they've just got into space, they're doing really well, but actually we're like fucking already set up.
Fucking here, they're right here. Oh shit.
Shit, they're outside. I wasn't paying attention, guys. I'm sorry. I took my eyes off the monitor for 10,000 years.
This is the interest in just a little tiny bit off topic, but like just in Elite Dangerous, they've got these generation ships that they sent out at the beginning before man kind of learned how to get out of our solar system.
Right.
And so they sent these generation ships out that people just lived on the ship basically, and they would have their children and carry on, and their whole mission was just to keep going and
just to get out there.
Yeah, and so basically once they kind of got out there and got to the next solar system, by the time they got there, it was like 200 years later, and mankind had already beaten them there because they'd invented hyperspace travel.
Well, we were talking about this the other day, actually, weren't we? We were talking about the fact that you could travel out to stars by the time you get there, they've already caught you up.
Yeah, it's like they're already there.
It took you 1,000 years, something. That's quite cool.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks for listening. I've been Dan. He's been Kriss. It's been Word of the Horde. That's pretty much the end of the space discussions, time travel, or whatever it was we were talking about. It trails off when we start talking about games and all sorts of stuff and technology and things. I mean, that's in a podcast somewhere on my YouTube channel. So just enjoy that if you find it. I know I will enjoy you finding it. So yeah, thanks for listening. And as always, take care of yourselves, because I am out there. And so's Kriss. Kriss is out there on a boat somewhere. So you're not safe on land. I'm on land and Kriss is on the boat. And one day, we'll both be in space, hopefully. So there'll be no escape. Thank you, anyway.